All right, so last episode we talked about silence and what it costs us when good people stop saying what they see. Today I want to look at the opposite end of the spectrum. Not silence, but surveillance. Not looking away, but looking too closely at the wrong things. Because it turns out both of these, the silence and the surveillance, are driven by the same thing: fear. Fear that people closest to us can't be trusted. Fear that if we don't control the situation, we will be destroyed. And there's an entire industry built on that fear. Today, we're going to look at one corner of it. Have you ever seen an ad for an app called Cheater Buster? Cheater Buster and apps like it promise something simple: peace of mind. You're worried your partner is on Tinder. You type in their name. An app searches and tells you if they have a profile. Problem solved. Now you know. And the marketing is brilliant because it doesn't need you to be suspicious. It just needs you to be human. The ads show up in your feed, and the copy says things like, "Wouldn't you rather know?" or "Protect yourself." You weren't even worried before you saw the ad, but now you're thinking about it. It's a seed. The seed is the product, not the search result, not the app, the doubt. The moment you think, maybe I should check just to be safe, that's the transaction. Everything after that, it's just revenue collection. So let's talk about what this actually is doing underneath the surface. The business model here is not selling safety. It's selling insecurity. The app needs you to be afraid in order to exist. If you trusted your partner completely, you would never open. So the entire ecosystem, the ads, the testimonials, the social media content around catching cheaters, all of it is designed to erode trust. Not because anyone at the company sat in a room and said, let's destroy relationships, but because that's what the incentive structure produces. And there's the content ecosystem around it. Search "catching my partner cheating" on any platform, and you'll find millions of views. Cheater Buster didn't leave that to chance. They built a paid affiliate program on TikTok, gamified it with leaderboards and cash prizes. It flooded the platform with shock and scandal story content. 350 million views in under 60 days. Not organic, engineered. Content creators figured out that betrayal content is engagement gold, and the company turned into a customer acquisition machine. So now you have a feedback loop. The content creates the suspicion drives the search. The search result, whatever it says, creates more content. Nobody in the loop is asking what it's doing to the person consuming it, because that's not how the incentive works. Now, here's where I want to bring this to the table and to the families I sit with. I sit with couples where one person checked the other's phone and found something ambiguous, a text that could mean anything, and the relationship never recovered. Not because of what they found, because of what the act of searching communicated. I don't trust you. And once that's in the room, it's very hard to get it out. But here's the part that scares me more. It's not the adults, it's the teenagers. I work with kiddos who have been consuming betrayal content since middle school. Catching my boyfriend cheating, videos with millions of views. By the time these kiddos enter their first real relationship, they've been inoculated against trust. They expect betrayal. They're watching for it. It's been programmed in. And when you expect betrayal, you find evidence of it everywhere because you're interpreting everything through that lens. I'm watching a generation learn that intimacy is a trap, that vulnerability is weakness, that the smart move is never let your guard down. And the loneliness that produces is showing up in my office as anxiety, depression, substance use, self-harm, you name it. Not because someone cheated on them, but because they were taught that someone inevitably will. So this is the pattern. And it's the same pattern we're going to see in every episode of this series. Something presents itself as helpful. Wouldn't you rather know? The actual function is to make connection feel dangerous. You can't trust the person you love. The cost shows up in how you see the person sitting across from you. You stop seeing a partner, you start seeing a suspect. That's the pattern. The package changes. And once you see it, you're going to start seeing it everywhere. In the apps on your phone, in the content in your feed, in the way you talk to your kids about relationships. It's everywhere. So what do? I'm not going to tell you to delete any apps. I'm not going to tell you to stop watching content. Here's what I'm going to ask. The next time you see a piece of content about cheating, about betrayal, about catching someone in a lie, notice what happens in your body. Now, what do you think about it? What do you feel? Does your chest tighten? Does your jaw clench? Do you immediately think about your own relationship? That's the product working. That's the physical response. That's what they're selling. Not information, activation. And then ask yourself, after I consume that, did I feel closer to the person I love or further away? That's the cost. It's worth counting. This episode is sponsored by absolutely no one. None, not a soul. And I really do hope that changes one day. Because picture it, your product, something that ties into what we believe in here at Reflective Parent Podcast. Imagine the possibilities. Until that glorious day arrives, here's the simple way to support what we're building. Company. Follow along on Instagram and Facebook. Jump in the comments. Say hi. Tell me what you're wrestling with as a parent right now. This is the part I actually care about. The whole thing runs on connection. If you're ready to take this step further, the Family Agreement Workshop is open right now inside the Reflective Parent Support Group. It's the first piece of something bigger I'm building over the coming weeks. So if you come in early, you get to grow right alongside it. And hey, if you're feeling generous, there's a Zelle and a Venmo out there with my name on them. All right. I want to talk directly to the parents for a minute because everything I just described, the cheater buster ads, the catching my boyfriend content, the 350 million views, that is not happening in a vacuum. It is happening on the same platforms your kid is on every day, probably right now. And here is what I want you to sit. Your teenager is not too young for this content. The algorithm doesn't ask for ID. It doesn't know your kid is 15. It knows they watch relationship content, so it serves them more. And the more they watch, the more it decides they want to see. Your kiddo could be absorbing a full graduate level course in relationship suspicion and surveillance culture before they've been on a single date. So what do you actually do with that? First, family meetings. I want you to have the conversation, not the lecture, the conversation. There's a difference. And your kid is going to know the difference immediately. So you're not sitting with them down to tell them what to think. You're sitting down because you're curious, approaching with curiosity about what they are already seeing. Ask them, have you seen those ads for the apps that check if your partner's cheating? Most of them have. A lot of them have opinions about it. Start there. Second, teach them how the machine works. This is one of the most valuable things a parent can do right now. Your kid doesn't know that 350 million views of betrayal content was engineered by a company that profits from relationship insecurity. They just know it showed up in their feed. Walk them through it. Show them the business model. Explain the affiliate program, not to scare them, to give them a framework. When kids understand that content is designed to make them feel something specific, they start to develop a different relationship to what they consume. They become readers of the machine instead of passengers in it. Okay. Third, talk about what healthy relationships actually look like. Not the fairy tale version, the real one. Vulnerability, repair, the willingness to trust someone before you have proof that they deserve it. Most teenagers have never had that conversation with a parent. They've had a safety talk. They've had the consent talk. At least I hope so. Almost nobody sits down and says, here's what I believe about trust. And here's what I've learned the hard way about what it costs to live without it. The conversation matters, and you're the right person to have it. So here's a few practical things to try this week. Watch something with them. Sit down. Find one of those videos together and just be curious. What do you think about this? Not, here's what's wrong with this. Just, what do you think? After all, we're working on identity here and how they see the world. You've got to be the executive function to help them with that. Ask about their feed, not their phone. There's a difference between surveillance and curiosity. You're not checking, you're asking. What have you been watching lately? We can even come in with the kind of energy that's like, show it to me and share it with me. I want to know you. So that question gets asked without the agenda and opens more doors than you think. Share your own story. Not perfectly, not with all the answers, just honestly. What have you learned about trust? What have you gotten wrong? The family table method starts with a seat called showing up imperfect. And that is the entry point for every hard conversation I have ever seen a parent have with a teenager. You don't need to have it together. You just need to be willing to show up. And if you're sitting there thinking, I don't know how to have that conversation, I don't have the language, every time I try it turns into a fight, that's exactly what I do. That is the work. The family table method is a structured 6-seat framework I built specifically for this. It gives parents the tools to have the conversations that matter, not by following a script, but by building the kind of relationship where those conversations become possible. Seat 4 is about building a shared language with your family. Seat 5 is about making connection a regular practice because it's always changing and evolving. We do this before the crisis hits. If you want to know more about whether it's a fit for your family, the link to a free consult is in the show notes. So you don't have to figure this out alone. That's the whole point. So let's talk. Thanks for sitting with something uncomfortable again. Same time next week. I'll see you soon. Okay, before I go, I want to add one more thing I didn't say in the main episode. Something I've been sitting with. We talk a lot in this work about what we're modeling for our kids. And most of the time we're thinking about the big things. How we handle conflict, whether we apologize, whether we show up when it's hard. But kids are also watching the small things. They're watching what you do when you pick up your phone. They're watching what you do when you check your partner's location. They're watching whether the energy in the house shifts after you've been scrolling. You don't have to say a word about Cheater Buster for your kid to learn something about how love works. They're learning it from watching you every day. That's not meant to be a guilt trip. meant to be an invitation to take this seriously. Not just for yourself, for the people in your house who are figuring out what relationships look like by watching yours. Because here's what I believe. The antidote to this, to all of it, to the surveillance apps, to the betrayal content, and the whole industry built on fear, is not a better app or a smarter algorithm. It's a relationship in the room that's worth protecting. And that starts with deciding consciously that the person across from you deserves your trust until they prove otherwise, not the other way around. That's a countercultural position right now. It costs something to hold it, but it's worth counting when it costs nothing. Okay, now I'm done. Thanks for being here. Next episode, we're going to look at something in your kid's pocket that you might not know about. An app that gives them an entirely separate phone life that you can't see. That one's going to be important if you're a parent. Thanks for being here.